MeMonster.
Chapter 181. After returning to Prestige, I first checked on Riri's shop and the 6,000 TP plot of land. Thanks to the goblin's hard work, Riri's shop was making great profits, and Henry and Kiri were already starting to learn the business management skill book. When I asked about their incredible learning speed, they said it only took them 4 days to learn to read and write. For the record, players had automatic language support inside the tower. Next, I visited the currently empty plot of land. It was already showing signs of fertility, with weeds beginning to grow. Random dice times 5. Looking at the empty plot, I rolled the dice. 2 gave equipment that could be sold in Riri's shop, and 2 gave crops that could be cultivated on this land. Level 2, clear and clean rice. Afterwards, I got to work. With Henry and Kiri's help, I searched for NPCs with farming experience. I found 5 NPCs within an hour, and after feeding them until they were full, I ordered them to plow the land. Since they didn't have homes, I bought a few dilapidated houses nearby and fixed them up into decent cabins. All this only took half a day to complete. Young Dwarf's dexterity was that amazing. "We'll do our best, Lord!" The 5 NPCs bowed respectfully with teary eyes. Including their family members, there were 8 of them. It was a bit embarrassing to say this, but as Prestige's richest man, I took on the responsibility of noblesse oblige and cast hypnotic suggestions. Work hard, but don't overwork yourselves. Encouraging words from someone in power often improved work efficiency. After checking that a faint trace of magic power entered their bodies, I returned to Chameleon Throop's hideout. I'm back. However, no one was inside. I looked around the dark, cold hideout before turning on the light. Maybe it was because I couldn't smoke in the tower, but being alone felt a bit sad. Chirp, chirp. At that moment, Spartan chirped on my shoulder. Right, you're here too. I realized Spartan shared my thoughts. I reached over and stroked his head. Beep, beep. Spartan flapped his wings in joy. I thought about what to do. There was still 1 day until Medea's conference. Should I grind my stats and skills with monsters on the 4th floor? Or suddenly, a light bulb went on in my head. Training. Spirit power training using Stigma's magic power. Trying to make spirit power flow more naturally and fluidly. Meditation to help spirit power circulate through my bloodstream. Since spirit power would follow me to the real world, I needed to get better at using it. I walked down to the underground training room with Spartan. After putting him down, I sat cross-legged like martial artists in wuxia novels. My spirit power was currently level 2, only enough to use basic skills 30 to 40 times. In fact, since my basic skills had leveled up, I could only use them 20 to 30 times without relying on potions. Chuck Jung-young told me that breathing was done with the entire body. Wouldn't spirit power be similar? I closed my eyes and relaxed. I inhaled, trying to feel the spirit power scattered in my bloodstream. Although it wasn't tangible, I could sense its existence. I exhaled. I fused the flowing spirit power with Stigma's magic power. By injecting Stigma's magic power into my body, I gathered the scattered spirit power into a cluster. Once fused, the spirit power began to circulate on its own, from my head to my heart to my hands and feet. It was breathing with my entire body. First breath, second breath, third breath, fourth breath, dugunk. My heart throbbed. Spirit power fused with magic power surged through my body. A yellow aura, different from magic power, appeared before my eyes. Oh! At the same time, I groaned in pain. Something sticky was stuck in my throat. Oh! I vomited uncontrollably. A black lump, indescribably disgusting and sticky, came out of my mouth. Then I vomited 2 more black lumps. My retching finally stopped. I wiped my mouth and stared at the mysterious black lumps. Level -2. Impurities from Kim Hajin's body. Oh, it's tar. Considering how much I smoked before entering the tower, I wasn't too surprised. Geez, I thought I was going through the bone and marrow cleansing process I'd heard about in wuxia novels. To keep the training room clean, I put the black lumps in my inventory for now. Then I tried moving my neck and waist. I felt refreshed, but there wasn't any real change. If there was, the system would have told me. Blinking, I looked up at the sky. It seems a single training session is not enough, but continually using that method to train may produce an unforeseen result. Ah, I see. Thank you. The system kindly explained. Not even the system knew everything about the tower. This time, it sounded a bit surprised. Obviously, this was a good thing. I decided to take a 5-minute break before trying again. I wiped away my sweat and opened the community. Captain Britain. Images, images, images. List of items. Selling items dropped by an undead monster. Message me if there is something you want. Comments. Is Skeleton Legacy still available? Are you also trading items? It's sold. No, it's not. I don't know who this is, but please don't make false statements. And yes, trading is okay. Come to English Royal Court's hideout in Prestige's District 3. I saw a post from Rachel. She said she'd been busy recently with no time to use the messenger. It seems she was really working hard. While browsing the public forum with a smile, another post caught my attention. G Super Urine. Does anyone know how to get rid of the vengeful spirit's curse? My friend is dying. If you do, please come to Essence of the Straits hideout. We'll reward you not only in the tower, but outside the tower as well. Comments. Who cares? We have 7 lives anyway. Just tell him or her to die once. No, that's not it. Haven't you heard of Banshee's curse? It permanently killed several people recently. Oh yeah, I heard there was no cure for that. Good luck. The effect of the Banshee's curse became widespread after 10 or so people permanently died from it. Essence of the Strait. Looking at it, I remembered Nayun Jajong Man mentioning the Banshee's curse 4 days ago. Che Nayun was also in Essence of the Strait. It was unlikely to be a coincidence. Of course, Nayun Jajong Man said a friend got the Banshee's curse, but since Che Nayun was never the type to show any weakness, I slapped my cheeks. Stop thinking about strange things and just focus on training. I sat cross-legged again and closed my eyes. Then I continued my Spirit Power Awakening breathing method. 30 minutes later, Level 2, Essence of the Straits hideout. In the end, I found myself standing in front of Essence of the Straits hideout. I wasn't wearing a mask in case they saw me as suspicious, but I put on a fake beard so they couldn't recognize my face. Seeing me loitering at the entrance, an Essence of the Straits guild member standing guard called out, "Who are you?"
He seemed wary. I couldn't blame him. My huge hooded robe was suspicious no matter how you looked at it. I used demon's cunning speech to change my voice. I saw the post in the public forum. Public forum? The guild member tilted his head. At that moment, someone else walked down the stairs and came to the entrance. Her eyes were swollen from crying. I could immediately tell who it was. I called out to her. I came here to get rid of the curse. Pardon? Huh? Ichiyun, who looked depressed, quickly ran over. Curse? Who is he? He says he's a mercenary. He apparently saw a post in the public forum, but we didn't post anything. I posted it not too long ago. Ji-yoon examined my face. I looked away purposely, hoping she wouldn't notice me. Hey, can you take off your hoodie? The guild member, whose name I didn't know, spoke, but Ji-yoon quickly exclaimed in surprise. This person is fine. Let him in. Her voice turned soft and relaxed. I was just as surprised as the guild member, who looked startled. We need to know who he is. Don't worry, I'm really good at recognizing people's faces. Ji-yoon said that as she poked me in the side. Judging by her mischievous smile, it seemed she'd found me out. With no other choice, I followed her closely. Where's the patient? You'll see. By the way, you never cut your beard? When I heard this, I realized how stupid I was. She'd recognized me because of my beard. No, this beard is fake. I don't grow beards anymore. That's nice. Anyway, let's hurry. E.G. Yoon pulled on my wrist. As expected of an advanced guild, Essence of the Strait used a 3-story hideout. We went up to a room on the 3rd floor. It's here. Creak! E.G. Yoon opened the door. A white, hospital-like room appeared. There, 2 patients were lying unconscious. One was a man I didn't know. He wasn't inflicted with a curse. But the other? I walked in. Rather, my feet moved on their own toward the girl lying half dead on the white bed. She's been unconscious since 2 days ago. The girl was only faintly breathing, and the black curse was encroaching upon her neck. It was as I thought. I couldn't deny the truth any longer. Nayan Jajangman was Che Nayun. Her curse is already at level 5. Is it possible to treat her? It is, right? I looked down at Che Nayun. Her face was pale, and her body trembled every time she breathed. Looking at her, my chest felt heavy. The tar I spat out today seemed to be going back into my throat. How did she get it? 1 month ago, Nayun was trying to save me. He. I thought it was okay back then. Woo-hoo-ha-ha! E.G. Yoon began to sob, then burst into tears before she could finish her sentence. I can treat her, so don't cry. You're too loud. According to the system, a level 5 curse was something a human couldn't withstand. On the other hand, the ingredients needed to make an antidote could only be found on the 6th floor. But since I'd already made a counteragent with my ability, I should be able to lower the curse's level with it and extract the rest using extraction and permanent materialization. What should I do? I'm telling you, you're too loud. Here, take this. I took out the counteragent from my inventory and gave it to E.G. Yoon. It was a precious medicine that took 1,500 TP to make. What's this? A curse counteragent. You have to apply it on her skin directly. Amazing! 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 Hurry up, will ya? Yeah! E.G. Yoon pulled the shoulder area of Che Nayun's shirt down. A black spot on her left shoulder was giving off an eerie smoke. I just have to put it on her? Yeah. E.G. Yoon opened the counteragent's lid and practically poured it on the curse root, which was shaped like a human face. The moment the counteragent touched the curse root, a strange smoke and a horrifying shriek rang out. What's happening? E.G. Yoon jumped in surprise, but didn't back off. She continued to courageously apply the counteragent on the screeching face of the curse. Die! Die, you bastard! It's fine now. Get back. I pulled E.G. Yoon back and rolled up my sleeves. Now it was time to extract the curse. By focusing my body's spirit power and using it in one go... What? However, an unexpected phenomenon took place. Before I could extract the curse, it began to die on its own. I couldn't understand what was going on, but from what I could see, the curse was being devoured by Che Nayun's magic power. What's happening? I'm not sure. Che Nayun's magic power shot out, enveloping the curse. Was her magic power revolting after being suppressed by the curse all this time? No matter the case, the situation had flipped, and now the curse was under attack by Che Nayun. It looks like it'll be okay. I looked at Che Nayun. She was clenching her teeth and shaking as though she was having a nightmare. Was she fighting the curse alone in her sleep? I wanted to help her if possible. I took out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat from her forehead. I was probably mistaken, but it looked like she became more relaxed. Huh? In any case, it looked like I was no longer needed. I smiled bitterly and turned around. I'm leaving. Eh? Wait, we have a reward for you. Take it when Nayun fully recovers. I don't need it. In exchange, don't tell her it was me who treated her. I spoke, even using hypnotic suggestion. However, Iji-Yun tilted her head and asked, "What if she asks? She's going to try to figure out who helped her. She's not going to leave me alone until I do." Iji-Yun was right. I knew Chae Na-Yun's personality, too. After thinking for a moment, I left behind a solution that would cause the least trouble. Tell her that an extra treated her. Extra? What's that? Background actor? You don't even know that? But it's fine. She'll understand what it means. Just tell her that. Outside the tower, at Yoo Jin-yuk's office, the usually peaceful North Hamgyong province was now facing a calamity. The inside of Yoo Jin-yuk's office looked like a tornado had gone through it, and it was filled with hot magic power. Not even a match. Damn it. Yoo Jin-yuk was lying in the middle of this pit of hell, coughing up blood. Ugh, my body. Can't you go easy on me? 3 minutes ago, a monster had visited him. There was no room for negotiation. The monster asked about Kim Hajin the moment it arrived, and when Yoo Jin-yuk stayed silent, it began to rampage. 3 seconds. 3 seconds was all it took for him and his office to end up like this. Although he was no longer an active hero, the difference in their power was unbelievable. Yoo Jin-yuk's eyes met those of the girl looking down at him. She looked like a lion. Her hair, fluttering in the air with her magic power, looked like a lion's mane, and her sharp eyes looked like a cat's. However, the lion didn't seem hungry for blood. She was a lion revealing its fangs out of fear, only trying to look threatening.
I don't know why an overpowered monster like you is interested in Kim Hajin, but just so you know, Yoo Jin-yuk pulled himself up. Then, he sat down on his half-broken chair and turned on his computer. The hard drive contained information regarding Kim Hajin. However, Yoo Jin-yuk planned to delete it. An informant made it living by being heavy-mouthed. Delete. When he was about to press the button, something happened in Lord Jin-yuk's house. Bring your weapons! Who dares to trouble our lord? Foolish voices rang out outside the window. The girl glanced out, then looked back at Yoo Jin-yuk with an evil smile. Yoo Jin-yuk sighed. Since his weakness was revealed, he had no choice. The moment the villagers were taken hostage, it was over for him. He clicked his tongue and moved his hand off the keyboard. You want to know that much? The girl nodded. Why? You're going to kill him? The girl shook her head. I see. The girl didn't say anything. Yoo Jin-yuk stared at her fixedly. Her beauty was enough to put him in a daze even in this situation. But the first thing he thought of was a certain scene, a girl leaving Kim Hajin orphanage. She looked too much like that girl for it to be a coincidence. I'll tell you, so let me ask you one thing. You're the new leader of the Chameleon Troupe, right? As expected, the girl didn't say anything. However, Yoo Jin-yuk took her silence as a yes. If someone this strong wasn't the leader, but just an ordinary member, he would have been too embarrassed. All right. That was enough. Pieces of the puzzle fell together in Yoo Jin-yuk's head. He transferred the data he was about to delete onto a USB. This should have everything you want to know. The girl stepped toward him, but Yoo Jin-yuk quickly held his hand out to stop her. But wait, your old boss and I were acquaintances. We even fought once, though the result was something I'd rather not talk about. The girl's eyebrows twitched. Anyway, listen up. It's advice from an adult. Yoo Jin-yuk continued. There's a high chance you'll regret seeing this. No, I'm certain you will. Whether you want to kill Kim Hajin or keep him alive, as long as you're related to him, you won't like what you see. He held out the USB. Are you still curious? The girl reached out without saying anything. Her lack of hesitation made Yoo Jin-yuk pull the USB back. The girl frowned. Yoo Jin-yuk felt like a trainer trying to tame a lion. You don't know the contents of a box before you open it. That makes you want to open it even more. But after you do, shut up and hand it over. The girl unleashed her magic power again. Yoo Jin-yuk shrugged and put the USB down. Let me ask you a final question. Do you remember everyone you killed? The girl didn't reply and reached for the USB. Yoo Jin-yuk picked up the USB, and the girl sighed. If you don't remember, or if you don't want to remember, uwuk. A sharp pain struck his stomach, and he blacked out. Yoo Jin-yuk's memory of the day ended there.
Chapter 182. Boss sat in her chair, staring at the flash drive. The first thing she thought was, where do I put this? She remembered what Jane had taught her before. Oh. Fortunately, she realized in time. The smartwatch. Boss opened the flash drive, revealing a small piece, and plugged it into her smartwatch. Instantly, the information stored inside appeared as a hologram. Kim Hajin, 2025, admitted into Korea's Hero Training School, Cube, at rank 934. 2025, achieved rank 334 after the first Cube final exam. 2026, achieved rank 121. Went up 813 ranks in 1 year, the biggest increase since the beginning of Cube's history. However, he suddenly dropped out after the Destruction's Cube attack incident that took place the same year. Since it was a pretty interesting turn of events, the media covered it ferociously. Some say he felt turned off by the restrictions that would be placed on him when he became a hero. Subsequently, joined Geronimo Mercenary. It was Kim Hajin's career, something everyone already knew. As Boss stared at it, her eyes grew cold. Should I go back and, this time, kill him for good? Fortunately for Yoo Jin-hyuk, more interesting information soon followed. Private records of Yoo Jin-hyuk. July 2025. Started investigating Kim Hajin at the request of my niece. At first, it was just a series of useless information, so she quickly scrolled down. But then, her fingers, touching the hologram, tightened. The following information was recorded at the spot where her trembling fingertips stopped. October 2025. Found vital keyword. Incident. Kwang-o incident. As soon as those words appeared, beep, a loud noise filled her ears. The words echoed in her mind. Kwang-o incident. Kwang-o incident. It happened more than 20 years ago. She'd buried it deep within her subconscious, but it was an unforgettable day. The first test she faced at the order of the ex-boss who took her in. Found possibility that Kim Hajin may be the sole survivor of the Kwang-o evacuation shelter. Not baseless, but evidences are still weak. It was a story from long ago. It rained heavily that day. When we showed up at the dark shelter, the people inside trembled. They were afraid, and so was I. But my partner at the time, Belle, the former black, spoke. Kill or be killed. Otherwise, I will be abandoned by boss. Belle made me do everything under the pretense of training, and I, being a child, carried out the massacre. Evidence number 1. There was a full-blown pregnant woman there. Labor was imminent. That day I killed many people, but there was one life I did not take. A baby, crying, covered in blood. A baby hiding in his mother's arms. No, a baby the mother had desperately tried to hide. Evidence number 2. The date that he showed up at the orphanage and the date that the incident took place are about the same. A child too young to kill me. I couldn't kill a child who didn't have the ability to kill me in order to save myself. 2026. Discovered new information. A strong headache arose. The pain felt like it was tearing my brain apart.
According to the informant, it was confirmed that the assassin who attacked Kwang-o evacuation shelter left a baby intact. Very strong connection to Kim Hajin's birth. Then, is that baby Kim Hajin, and did the assassin leave him at the orphanage? Not sure yet. Warning: this information is stored in Violet Banquet's personal database and will automatically be destroyed if it comes into contact with magic power other than Yu Jin-hyuk's. Memories of that day loomed before me. Bell smirked at me who couldn't kill the baby, and he said, "We were ordered to kill 96 people. No orders were given about the unexpected 97th life. So, Byul, you can let him go. It's up to you." Maybe that was part of the test. But still, I did not kill that child. Well, if that's your decision, I'm sure Boss will understand. I, who never should have been born, was born and raised in curses and hatred. But the child who deserved a happy childhood and love from his parents was now buried in blood and death because of me. If I had not been born, you would have lived an ordinary life. I felt sorry for all that. And I felt excruciatingly guilty. That's why I couldn't kill him. Back from the past, I opened my eyes. Reality lay before me. Suddenly, all those feelings that Kim Hajin harbored towards me took on a new meaning. Although I had learned the truth, my tears didn't flow. I was not angry either. As if my emotions had been blocked, I became even more calm. Did Kim Hajin know all of this? And to show no intention of killing despite that, does that mean he forgives me? Or is this just some kind of probation or test? I have no idea. From the start, I wasn't that smart. Right now, all I want is to stop thinking for just a moment. So I closed my eyes. Soon, sleep crept in and gnawed away at my consciousness. Next morning, Chae Na-yoon woke up basking in sunlight shining through the windows. The view that was normally blurry was clear today for some reason, though her mind was still a bit hazy. She kept lifting her eyelids up and down, trying to control her breath. Then, although you receive the help of a counteragent, you are the first to overcome the vengeful spirit curse. Achievement unlocked. Hard to kill. Because you receive the help of others, the achievement bonus is limited to 50%. The other half will be unlocked once you reach the 6th floor. Trait acquired. Magic power that swallows curses. Words she could not understand appeared on the ceiling. She couldn't grasp what they meant even after reading them. Did I become stupid? Both my body and my head don't work the way I want them to. "Oh, Na-yoon, are you up?" Suddenly, Iji-yoon's face popped up in the corner of her eyes. "You're up! Oh, thank God!" Iji-yoon smiled brightly, but then frowned and hugged her tightly. Chae Na-yoon could not breathe. The feeling of her neck becoming wet with tears was uncomfortable. But thanks to that, she regained her consciousness. "Get off me." What? Get off of me." However, Iji-yoon held her tighter and pushed her face closer. Thank goodness. After letting out a heavy sigh, Chae Na-yoon lifted her upper body and pushed Iji-yoon away. "So, what happened?" she asked Iji-yoon, who was crying tears of joy. "Oh, I posted on the forum asking if anybody had the antidote to the curse," Iji-yoon answered, fiddling with her fingers. Because Kim Hajin had asked her not to tell anyone, she obviously looked awkward. "So, what?" "And a man who had the antidote by chance came, and he helped us." But of course, Chae Na-yoon didn't believe that so easily and stared at Iji-yoon with suspicion. What? I mean, thanks, but he just helped? "Oh, yeah. Without asking for anything in return?" Chae Na-yoon groaned to doubt kindness without reason. She had a chronic distrust of people. "Yeah, but anyway, Na-yoon, how's your arm?" But the solution to that was simple. Turning Chae Na-yoon's attention away from something was easier than fooling most kids. My arm! Chain Ayun coughed and turned her left arm up and down. Although it was stiff from not being used for a while, it was certainly cured.
It's good. Fine. No, but more than that, who in the world?
Oh, right. You could use the longsword now, then? Longsword? Longsword. At that one word, Chain Ayun had already forgotten what she was about to ask, and a spark of interest rose in her eyes. Yeah, the thing you got from the quest? Of course I know what I... Back then? About 3 weeks ago, it was the first group quest she had ever gotten since entering the tower. Was really happy. The memory of that day, still one of her greatest accomplishments, came back to life. Hidden quest. Intermediate rank group quest has been found. At least 8 people are required to continue this quest. Upon receiving the quest, she immediately summoned 8 members of Essence of the Strait. At first, there were only a few undead monsters, but soon they found a sword glowing blue in a blind spot in the cave. Everyone screamed with joy. She almost fainted after checking the item information. They were nearly out of food when they found this rare item. Level 3, high-quality longsword polished with ice crystal. Rare. Level 3, attribute. Ice. Level 3, frost damage. Level 3, attack power. Level 3, durability. A weapon that was almost equal to, no, a weapon that overpowered level 4 weapons. Did Team Leader leave it behind? However, Team Leader Kim Yong-jin had been using it these past 3 weeks. Chain Ayun had not been in the condition to use the sword. He left it behind today, saying he couldn't possibly use it when you are sick. Instead, he took the red crystal spear. As expected of the Weapon Master. Weapon Master. That was Kim Yong-jin's gift, which enabled him to wield any weapon as if he had been using it for years. His magic power was plain, but it was thanks to this gift that he would become a high-rank hero by next year. Yi Ji-yoon grinned and rubbed her face into Chain Ayun's shoulder. This again? It's to celebrate your recovery. I'm not fully recovered yet. Stop pushing. It hurts. Oh, right. Chain Ayun opened her eyes wide as if she remembered something. Hey, did you tell him my nickname? No, I didn't. Good, then... Chain Ayun nodded and turned on the messenger. I heard from my friend that you gave her the antidote. Thanks. You didn't answer back, so I thought you deleted me because I kept bothering you. OTL. By the way, the person you cured is my friend, not me. She sent the above messages to Extra 7. Then she turned again to Yi Ji-yoon. How did he look? Did he look old? He did look a bit old, with a beard. Beard? That was the biggest hint Yi Ji-yoon could provide. Beard? Yeah, beard. But Chain Ayun only smiled as if she had something else in mind. That does sound like him. I thought of him as an old guy who's good at playing games. Chain Ayun mumbled, suddenly feeling her heart warm. Even in a world like this, there is one person I can believe in. No. Now that I think about it, there's surprisingly many. Dad? Grandpa? Yu Yenha? Kim Suho? And although he's a little idiotic, my childhood friend Shin Jong-hak. Despite saying that she wanted to die every day, she realized one thing after almost dying. In the end, it was human nature to want to live. Don't be so pitiful. Move forward. Stronger. Harder. Chain Ayun shook her head and jumped to her feet. Where are you going? To work out. I didn't get to practice my sword for 3 weeks. I think I might have forgotten a lot. I gotta get back on track. Afternoon. Because Prestige lacked a sun, it was as dark as night.
Players who were busy conquering the higher floors returned to Prestige for the very special event that would take place in Medea's palace. Yo, newbie! Hey, Hajin! Chek Jung Young and Jane, who were loitering around in front of the palace, walked over to me. They said they were playing around on the 5th floor, and their higher quality equipment proved it. Jane was wearing a high-quality cape and a jeweled necklace, while Chek Jung Young wore a gauntlet made of bones. How was the 5th floor? Fun and exciting. You should come next time. The 5th floor was designed to look like the demon world. Its theme was adventure. Breaking through 6 fortresses, 10 gateways, 8 outposts, and 5 castles to arrive at the end of the world. That was the goal. How far did you go? I'm not sure. We stayed in the Swamp of Beginnings for about 2 days. There were idiots waiting there to find party members. The 5th floor was half the size of the Korean peninsula. As such, 2 days was nowhere near enough to get anywhere. I'll go with you tomorrow. As I said that, I peeked over Chek Jung Young's shoulder. The person who should normally stand out the most was nowhere to be seen. Where's Boss? Boss? She must have something to do. Immediately, Jane put on a scary frown. She left with a face like this, so something serious must have happened. Anyways, let's go in. Jane hopped over and linked her arm to mine. I would have been fine with it if it wasn't for the fact that Jane was currently disguised as a man. Oh right, disguise me too. Okay. Because the Black Lotus symbol was left at the site of the destroyed towers, I had no choice but to go into the palace as Chameleon's troop's seat of black. As such, I changed my face with Jane's help. After disguising ourselves, we walked to the main gate of the palace. We presented our citizens' cards to the guard standing in front of the gate, and the guard gave us different badges after checking our contribution points. Mine was made of diamonds, while Chek Jung Young and Jane's were gold. Go in. We entered the palace safely. As soon as we entered, we saw a beautiful wide lobby. The floor was covered with red carpet, the ceiling was high like the Pantheon, and a beautiful Candelaria hung in the center. There were even maids and butlers dressed formally, standing nearby. We will check your badge rank. An old man who seemed to be the chief butler walked in. I was first.
Diamond rank has been confirmed. Please tell us your honorable name. Honorable name? Didn't mean real name, right? As though he read my mind, the butler quickly added, a false name or a nickname is fine. Then I'll go with Buyong. Note, Buyong is hibiscus. The old butler quickly made a name tag. Diamond, Buyong. Next was Chok Jung Young and Jain. Chok Jung Young seemed to think the names had to be 2 characters, so he went with Jung Young, while Jain used an anagram of her name, Anji. Follow me. After putting the name tags on our chests, we followed the butler past the lobby. Soon we stood in front of a huge silver door, but we quickly walked past it. Next was a golden door. The butler stopped in front of it. Anji Neem and Jung Young Neem may go in through the golden door. We're not using the same door? The door you use is determined by your rank, but no worries, you will all end up in the same reception hall. He explained calmly. Just like he said, Medea's palace was an extra-dimensional space formed from magic power. The different colored doors would all lead to a single reception hall. In other words, players would gather in the same place to receive their rewards. The reason Medea split up the doors was to make their entrances more flamboyant. But we get different rewards, right? That is right. If I knew beforehand, I would have destroyed the tower myself. Hajin's going to end up taking everything. Jain glanced at me. I laughed. Don't worry,
I'll share the rewards with you. Really? Of course. Yay! Jain hopped over to the golden door, and Chuk Jung-young followed. When Chuk Jung-young entered the golden door, his back muscles tensed. Wondering what was causing such a reaction, I peeked at the reception hall beyond the golden door. Ooh. As expected, the room was full of powerful people who made Chuk Jung-young's blood boil. Keek! The golden door closed shut. Next, I will guide you to the diamond rank door. I followed the butler, walking past a ruby door, a sapphire door, and an emerald door. By the time we arrived at the diamond door, my body was completely tense. I was only a mere fish compared to the whales inside the room. "Are you ready?" the butler asked. It's okay for me to wear this robe, right?" I was still in Jain's disguise, but I didn't want to reveal my face if possible. "Yes, it's fine. Medea-neem enjoys wearing robes as well. In fact, that robe is beautiful enough to make Medea-neem envious." It was made by Aether, who loves beauty, so it couldn't be helped. "Then I'll go in." "Yes, I hope you enjoy your stay." The butler opened the door for me. The highest rank door opened with a loud roar. I stepped into the reception hall. There were 2 long tables joined together, forming a single 100-meter table. The gazes of the people inside all fell on me. Essence of the Strait, Kim Young-jin. High-rank heroes I met when I was in Cube, Oh Jun-hyuk and So Young-ji. Satan's servant, Kim Oh-sung. Hunter of the vast expanse, Kim Jun-woo. Desolate moon, Shin Jong-hak. It was nice to see him again. Heroes from the Temple of Justice, Eileen and Yi Young-ha. And I, a mysterious man wearing a robe. The ones gathered here were all powerful men and women who had made great achievements in the tower. Shin Jong-hak was obviously the weakest among them. "The diamond-ranked Buyong-neem has arrived," the butler announced respectfully. I walked in as leisurely as I could and sat down on the diamond-adorned seat near the head of the table. The mysterious robed man sat in front of me, and next to me was Eileen. Eileen stared at me with sparkling eyes. No, it wasn't just Eileen. The moment I sat down, everyone in the room began to observe me. Not many were kind. If I had to describe their gazes, it was like they were trying to estimate the power of the strongest person in the room. I pushed my hood down. If they were tigers, I was only a hyena. It was too uncomfortable.
Chapter 183. Chief Officer of Essence of the Straits Tower Subjugation Team Kim Young-jin tried to guess the contribution rankings for Medea's quest. First was the destruction of the demon's control towers. In this aspect, the guilds were severely lacking. Relationships between guilds had deteriorated so much that cooperation was nearly impossible. One side would suddenly ambush the other after agreeing to cooperate, or someone would say something completely different from what was originally discussed. Although no one ever found out, all these conflicts were caused by Jane, who was secretly stirring up trouble in disguise. While the guild's relationships were in shambles, an irregular had taken care of the control towers. Even now, Kim Young-jin was dumbstruck whenever he thought about it. He had woken up like any other day, but 3 control towers had been destroyed without a trace. That day, the leaders of each guild rushed to the places where the towers had stood. However, all that remained were the ruins of the towers and a black lotus symbol engraved with magic power. As an executive of Essence of the Straits, Kim Young-jin knew what the black lotus symbolized. The serial terror incidents in Pandemonium were often discussed among high-ranking heroes. Shocked by this incident, the guilds finally came together and conquered the last control tower. Thanks to this, Kim Young-jin was able to achieve at least ruby rank. Next was the hunting of demons and undead monsters near the city. Although the contribution points rewarded were lackluster compared to destroying the control towers, analysts from the guild concluded that one could achieve gold to ruby rank by faithfully doing this. Finally, there were various quests. Prestigious quests were also determined to give contribution points. Not all quests gave points, but some, like the LV3 Longsword Forged with Ice Crystal quest that Che Neyun received, gave rewards that made any player envious. In that case, Kim Young-jin looked around the reception hall nervously. Exactly 100 players were in the hall, the top 100 in terms of contribution points. They all sat around a long table, looking at each other. At first glance, they seemed to be on equal standing, but in truth, there was a clear hierarchy. First were those close to Medea, 1 diamond, 3 emeralds, and 6 rubies, including Kim Young-jin himself. Although the diamond seat had yet to arrive, the most eye-catching hero was the emerald seat's Aileen. "I'm starving. When is the administrator getting here?" The Hero Association's ultimate weapon, known as the Human Dragon and the final speech master, was a true giant. Kim Young-jin felt honored to be in her presence. She had made great contributions in destroying the Western Control Tower and slaughtered countless undead monsters. She was undoubtedly worthy of sitting in the emerald seat. When is the most important person getting here? At that moment, Seo Young-ji, the high-rank hero sitting next to Kim Young-jin, whispered. Kim Young-jin was thinking the same thing. Right, Black Lotus isn't here yet. The only diamond-ranked seat undoubtedly belongs to Black Lotus. Since he carved his signature inside the tower, he must be planning to reveal himself more and more. Seo Young-jin muttered, giving Kim Young-jin a strange look. By the way, Young-jin Shi, I heard you found a rare item in one of your quests. Us? Hey, don't pretend like you don't know. I saw you swinging that blue sword. Ice attribute, right? It looked amazing. Where did you get it? Kim Young-jin shook his head. In his mind, the blue longsword wasn't just a weapon. The Tower of Wish was known to have all sorts of valuable items, and since items from the outside world couldn't be brought in, good weapons found inside the tower were valuable assets for any guild. Although Seo Young-jin was a senior from his cube days, Kim Young-jin couldn't tell her anything. Rather than that, don't you think prestige has been changing rapidly? Kim Young-jin changed the subject. Seo Young-ji accepted his indirect silence. The outer city became more energetic. Crops are growing too. As their conversation was ending, dun! A large gate that had stayed shut suddenly roared open. All players in the room turned toward the gate decorated with beautiful diamonds. Geek! The door slowly opened and a man walked through with steady steps. The butler standing near the door introduced him. The diamond-ranked Buyang Nim has arrived. The man didn't look ordinary. He wore a black robe embroidered with white patterns, elegant and beautiful enough to capture everyone's attention. Magic power flowed along the surface of the robe. What level could it be? Kim Young-jin couldn't help but wonder. The man sharply scanned the players in the room. His hawk-like eyes seemed to pierce through their secrets. After 5 seconds, he finished his brief observation and sat down. The room got louder. So he is... Shh. Seo Young-jin put her finger to her mouth. Nothing good will come from being involved with him. Kim Young-jin acknowledged her with silence. That man was without a doubt the strongest player in the room. Kim Young-jin was thankful he met Black Lotus in the tower. In this place, where everyone's abilities are restricted, he felt he stood a chance. By the way, is it true, Kim Young-jin asked Seo Young-ji, what is? That the divine archer Jin Se-yeon is also looking for a ticket? I don't know. You're her direct junior and a member of the association. Shouldn't you know? Seo Young-ji laughed and shook her head. Members of the association don't know everything about what heroes do in their spare time. But why do you ask? Black Lotus uses a bow. I think we heroes need someone who can suppress him. Why can't that be someone from a guild? You guys sure like to bring up the association when it's convenient. Black Lotus likely destroyed 3 control towers with a single arrow each. Only an archer could suppress an archer of that level. No matter how amazing a warrior he would never be able to defeat an archer hiding in high ground. In fact, he could only hope he wasn't the sitting duck in his vision. That was also why Jin Se-yeon was given the master rank title. The peak of the bow was a realm much harder to reach than the peak of the sword. To be honest, I hope she doesn't come. I don't think the divine archer can beat him either, So Young-ji said, shaking her head. No way. There's a reason she's called the divine archer. No, I'm positive. Look, there's an ominous and dangerous aura about him, and he hasn't even shown his face. What Seo Young-jin didn't know was that Kim Hajin's aura was coming from Jane's disguise gift, which was unstable because of her restricted stats. Seo Young-jin mistakenly thought Kim Hajin was emanating a ghastly aura because of his level of attainment. I guess you're right. I hope nothing bad happens here. It should be fine. Aileen Nim is here as well. I don't like her that much, So Young-ji grumbled. It was then. The lights went off, and the room became dark. Not long after, a white sphere of magic power rose up and lit the room. The administrator of the third floor and the master of this palace, Medea-nim, has arrived. With the butler's introduction, the door behind the head of the table opened. Wearing a blue dress and a red robe, Medea walked in elegantly and gracefully. However, Medea's entrance felt a bit dull compared to the huge impact left by Black Lotus's entrance. Welcome, players! Medea was about to sit at the head of the table, but stopped. She stared fixedly at Black Lotus, who was right next to her. As expected, the administrator recognizes his strength, So Young-ji grumbled quietly. It looks like it. Seeing this, the players began to talk among themselves again. Welcome, players! After her grand appearance, Medea suddenly stopped and looked at me. To be exact, she was looking at my robe. It seemed the butler wasn't lying when he said it was beautiful enough for Medea to take interest in it. Come! I am the administrator of Prestige, Medea. Medea soon turned back and finished her introduction. The 100 players in the room all greeted her together. Medea returned a kind smile, then sat down at the head of the table. I am glad that we are able to gather on this joyous day. You all must have walked through your respective door of contribution. Snap! Medea snapped her fingers. You received Diamond Door's blessing. The amount of TP gained by completing Prestige's common quests permanently increases by 11%. A system alert popped up. Huh? What's this? Players widened their eyes in surprise. Medea smiled. Hoo hoo hoo! That was the first reward. Don't be surprised. This is only the beginning. This time she clapped. Classical music began to play and several servants walked in carrying food. First, let us enjoy our meal. Level 3 steak, Level 3 beef soup. High-quality food was served. As good food was hard to come by in Prestige, players smacked their lips as they glanced at Medea. Dig in, you must be starving. Hearing this, players began to eat. I looked around the table as I cut my meat. The other top 8, besides me, were all people I knew. The emerald-ranked robed player in front of me, although I couldn't be certain, was likely Bell. Just like me, he was someone who didn't exist in the original story. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Players should work together, right? Medea laid the groundwork for conversation. Immediately, a gaze fell on me. I turned my head, wondering who it was. Surprisingly, Shin Jong-hak was staring at me intensely. It seemed he wanted to talk to me badly. Of course, I ignored him. You, poke. The woman sitting next to me poked my shoulder. Hi. When our eyes met, she waved her hand. Aside from the 9 stars, she was the hero considered the strongest individual force, Aileen. You know me, right? Aileen asked. However, I've focused on my steak without answering her. You met before in Tutorial Town. We met before. It was you who threw the vodka at me. Annoyed by her incessant talking, I activated Demon's Cunning Speech. I don't recall. Can you eat quietly?
Even I was surprised how fierce my changed voice sounded. Players, who had been focused on eating, quickly turned their gazes at me. I should have learned how to use it properly. "Oh, you're using magic power in your voice? Are you provoking me?" Aileen was still smiling, but her gaze was sharper. Her hostility had also become clearer. "It's you, isn't it? The black color?" Everyone in the reception hall was focused on me and Aileen. Belle and Medea were obviously among them. Medea liked fights and conflicts, so it wasn't surprising. I turned toward Aileen. She was glaring at me. I wasn't scared. After all, she looked like a kid. However, "First, take off that robe." Oop! Aileen spoke with magic power, but before she could finish, I stuffed a big chunk of steak in her mouth. "Eat." I had an item that let me cast hypnotic suggestions, similar in function to spirit speech. Of course, it wouldn't work on someone with a high magic power stat like Aileen, but if the suggestion was subtle, it worked much better. It's delicious, isn't it? For example, this hypnotic suggestion that amplified flavor. Aileen stopped glaring at me and quickly began to chew. Nom 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 nom. Because of her small mouth, it took her ages to finish chewing and swallowing the meat. I breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. I leaned back. I looked at the players who were staring at me. When our eyes met, they quickly averted their gaze. However, the giants I mentioned continued to look at me with interest. I shook my head. At that moment, Medea clapped her hands. "Great! It seems the rank 1 player has the heart to give away his own food to others. That was a fun spectacle." Medea spoke up. "Now then, let's begin the conferment ceremony." Her announcement was sudden. The startled players hurriedly finished their food or stood up with food still on their plates. No, you don't have to stand." Medea smiled and stopped them. "Feel free to continue eating. I'll take care of the reward ceremony. I dislike unnecessary and uncomfortable formalities." That was a lie. Medea would probably not hesitate to throw disrespectful people in jail or use them as sacrifices in magic experiments. Come! Before starting the conferment ceremony, Medea cleared her throat. "First, rank 51 to 100. Silver-ranked players will receive 500 TP on top of the Silver Door Blessing." 50 butlers walked into the room and gave 5 gold coins to each of the silver-rank players. Next up, rank 11 to 50, gold-rank players will receive 1,000 TP on top of the Golden Door Blessing. 1,000 TP was given in the same way. And finally, rank 1 to 10. Their rewards are as follows. An inventory-like window popped up in front of the top 10 rankers. Trait Recovery Coupon. Special Skill Acquisition Book, Level 1, Lightning of Thor. Artifact, High Intermediate. Special Skill Acquisition Book, Level 2, Wind of Odyssey. Artifact, Low Intermediate. Orb of Regeneration. Mystic Key. Rank 1 to 10 players will be able to pick their rewards from this list. First up is the diamond-ranked Buyong Nim. You may pick 4 items from this list. Medea looked at me with interest. 4 items. It indeed was a reward worthy of first place. However, if I took all the skill books, the players behind me would undoubtedly be discontent. That was likely the outcome Medea was hoping for as well. Of course, I was confident I could handle the players' unhappiness, but the skill books weren't the items I wanted anyway. Have you made up your mind? Yes. Ha ha ha, I guess it's not too hard of a decision. Announce your choice. I selected my items in front of the other 9 rankers. First was the Trait Recovery Coupon. Second was Special Skill Acquisition Book, Level 2, Wind of Odyssey. The others likely expected this. However, the final 2 rewards I chose were Orb of Regeneration,
Mystic Key.
Immediately, the room stirred. Medea also looked surprised. Did you click the wrong button? No. Orb of Regeneration, Mystic Key. Since I needed much better skills than Medea's special skills, I chose the evolving items that would only get stronger in the future and could only be acquired from Medea. Why didn't you choose the other skill book? Even after we left the palace, Jane was still grumbling about my choice. Lightning of Thor isn't all that good. Although Medea offered 2 special skill books as rewards, neither was particularly good, even for special skill books. Yes, the Lightning of Thor was a high intermediate rank artifact. However, skill books followed the grades average, rare, artifact, historical, legend, mythical. They were 3 grades above artifact grade. Jane C can learn this. I gave Jane LV2 Wind of Odyssey. I didn't learn it to save my skill slots, but Wind of Odyssey wasn't a bad skill. You're giving me this? Jane's attitude changed instantly. Yes, it suits Jane. And for Chuck Jung Young, here, 5,000 TP. I gave Chuck Jung Young 5,000 TP. However, he was standing in a daze. He seemed to have gone delirious after not being able to fight anyone in a room full of powerful rankers. Or maybe he fell for Medea. You don't want it? Chuck Jung Young didn't say anything. I put the 5,000 TP back in my inventory. By the way, Jancy, doesn't this face look too much like mine? Then I remembered the disguised face I was wearing, which wasn't all that different from my real face. Kim Hajin's general look was still there. I just had a beard and more defined features. Honestly, I looked more like Jake Gyllenhaal now. I didn't have a choice because my ability is being restricted. Any more and someone would have noticed. But don't worry, they'll never think it was you. Your real face is a lot uglier. Not a lot. I'll change your face back. You can be the judge. The beard on my chin disappeared, and my face returned to normal. How is it? Well, maybe I was just a little uglier. While I was feeling hurt about my appearance, I caught sight of a woman walking towards us. It was Boss. Oh, it's Boss. Boss! Leaving behind Chuck Jung Young, who was still standing in a daze, Jane and I ran over to Boss. A week had passed since I last saw her. Of course, there was a part of me that felt a bit uncomfortable because of Chongdong's past, but as Kim Hajin, I had already decided to bury the matters of the past. Welcome back, Boss. What have you been up to? When I asked, Boss looked at me silently for a long time. Did something happen on Earth? No, it's nothing. Then she sighed and shook her head. Your face looks a lot skinnier for it to be nothing. My face? Yes. Let's go back to the hideout. I'll make you a good meal. I began to walk to our hideout. However, Boss didn't move. She only stared at me with somber eyes. Boss, aren't you coming? Hajin. The word that came out of her mouth startled me. Unless it was something serious, Boss always called me newbie. Yes? However, Boss soon shook her head. It's nothing. Her awkwardness made me awkward too, but I spoke brightly. Oh, right, Boss. We have a new family member in our nest. Family member? Yes. Right, we had a new member in our nest. LV5 Chameleon Troops Hideout. Chirp, chirp. Spartan tilted his head. He scanned the 4 people in front of him with clear eyes. So, this is your pet? Chuck Jung Young asked. Yes, he's quite loyal, so he should only like me. Oh. He's clever and only follows one master. His name is Spartan. Chirp, chirp. Spartan chirped a few more times, then hopped over. Come here, Spartan. I opened my arms. However, Spartan didn't jump into my arms. Instead, he hopped over to Boss, who was sitting on the couch reading a novel, and then snuggled into her embrace. Boss was startled by Spartan's sudden snuggling. Boss looked back and forth between me and Spartan. I fell into a daze. But Spartan didn't even spare me a glance. Chirp, chirp. He rubbed his head on Boss's breast, coaxing her into petting him. Chip, chip. He was even singing. The hell? I see. He's very loyal. Chuck Jung Young smickered, trying to hold back his laughter. How funny. Spartan is definitely a male. and Jane discussed Spartan's gender.
Chapter 184. Spartan ended up staying with Boss. I, Kim Hajin, allowed it as his owner. I told him to cheer her up, as a good pet often would. Whew. Spartan had already followed her into her bedroom. Currently, I was staring at items I'd been too busy to deal with. First was the special consolidation ticket I got from killing Jin Sa-yuk. Special consolidation ticket. A ticket formed from a special gift. This ticket existed in my smartwatch rather than my inventory. Next, I took out the 3 items I obtained today. Trait Recovery Coupon, Orb of Regeneration, and Mystic Key. Finally, I checked the amount of SP I currently had. Current SP, 4,483. I had about 4,200 SP this morning. I'd earned almost 300 SP in a single day, likely because I was making a name for myself on a huge stage. In any case, I only needed a little more until I could create a good gift. For now, I decided to use the special consolidation ticket. The gift I wanted to strengthen was obviously Master Sharpshooter. There was no need to hesitate, but before I used the ticket, I opened my status window and checked its current level. Master Sharpshooter, Intermediate Rank, Spirit Attribute, Evolving, Grade 4, Proficiency XP 95%. Master Sharpshooter, Intermediate Rank, Spirit Attribute, Evolving, Grade 6, Proficiency XP 86%. The first line was the real-world version, and the second line was the tower version. As you can see, the restricted version was quickly catching up to the real one. Inside the Tower of Wish, stats and Proficiency XP went up quicker. As a result, players would regain their real abilities around the 9th floor. But, well, that was a story for another time. I tapped on the special consolidation ticket in my smartwatch. You use the special consolidation ticket. Gift Master Sharpshooter increases in power. Gift Master Sharpshooter increases in potential. The ticket didn't add anything special and only strengthened the gift's fundamental effects. I decided to hold on to the other special consolidation ticket I had. I still wasn't sure whether I should use it on the Desert Eagle or another gift. The important thing was this: Trait Recovery Coupon. The biggest gain from today was the Trait Recovery Coupon, which would let me recover one of my 3 remaining traits. Random Consolidation System, Low Intermediate Rank, Spirit Attribute, 3-stage consolidation. Magic Dysfunction Physique, Medicinal Memory Physique. Which one of these 3 should I choose? I needed to think about this carefully. Recovering a trait didn't mean a simple boost in battle prowess. Just like how Dexterity evolved to Dwarf's Dexterity, another fortuitous event could happen. I pondered. Should I choose the Medicinal Memory Physique like I originally planned? No. If I were to choose the Medicinal Memory Physique, I would have chosen the Orb of Regeneration for nothing. Orb of Regeneration, Magic Artifact. An orb with the power of regeneration. Evolving Item, EXP 0100. LV Unknown. A ping-pong ball-sized orb that glowed green. It didn't have a level, and the only effect it had was LV1 Unknown. However, I could check the item's description with my smartwatch. LV1, Recovery and Regeneration. Its sole effect looked wide-ranging at first glance. Like the saying goes, simplicity sometimes is best. Not even I knew how wide-ranging recovery and regeneration was. If I brought this item out to the real world and let it grow, I could, in theory, become half invincible. And this key, Mystic Key, Magic Artifact, a mystical key. Evolving Item, EXP 0100. LV2, Unlocking. It had the same size as an ordinary key, but it looked a bit special. It was hard to tell whether it was solid or liquid, and the way its surface gave off a blue glow made it look like a key from a fairy tale. This mystic key would also have an increasingly wide range of uses as it grew. Not only would it have an unlocking function, but it would also gain offensive and defensive uses. All right,
As such, I came to a decision. Rather than the medicinal memory physique, I decided to go with the trait that would let me use the items I had more efficiently. Random consolidation system. In a way, the choice was obvious. Come, I murmured as I tore the ticket in half. Choose the trait you wish to recover. Random consolidation system, magic dysfunction physique, medicinal memory physique. In an instant, system messages popped up in front of me. 3 traits I'd lived without for a long time. Of these 3, I grabbed the random consolidation system. You recovered a trait. Random consolidation system, low rank. Spirit attribute. For obvious reasons, its power was restricted. I could still scan up to 5 items, but the consolidation percentage dropped from 0 to 54% to -10 to 30%. But I was more than satisfied with it. 30% was more than enough to make a significant difference. You acquired a new trait. I smiled as I held up the orb of regeneration. Then I murmured happily, "Scan." The number engraved on the orb was 24%. My luck seemed to be working well. Bring! While I was being content with myself, someone sent me a message. Captain Britain, Hajin she, have you seen the community? Something huge happened at the palace today. The sender was Captain Britain, or in other words, Rachel. Oh, right. I suddenly remembered something. I vaguely recalled seeing Rachel among the 100 people in the palace. I didn't get a good look at her because she was sitting among the gold ranks. Thinking about it now, it wouldn't make sense if she wasn't there, since the English Royal Court Guild should have made huge achievements as well. I smiled as I wrote back, "Something huge? Captain Britain, yes, take a look at the public forum. Oh, by the way, why weren't you at the palace?" "Oh, I didn't make enough contributions. I went back to Earth and only came back recently, haha." "Oh, I see. That's okay. Don't worry about it too much. I can help you. I was rank 33 this time." Smiley face. I took a look at the public forum like Rachel wanted. Public forum. Holy Jesus, Eileen and rank 1 got into a fight in Medea's palace. I was there and saw it myself, haha. For real? Yep. Apparently they got super strong. In the end, it looks like your talent determines where you'll end up in the Tower of Wish. No. It's all skills. Better go grind the ones you have, if any, haha. Anybody want to release the footage from the palace? You can record videos here? Yeah, you just have to buy an item from the player's shop. I think it was called the one-use recorder. Someone's selling the video. I already bought it and saw it. How much did you pay? 50 TP. It was pretty intense. Rank 1 and Eileen were exchanging magic power. I would have fainted if I was caught between it. Damn, I want to see it too. Can you share it with me? Second wave of Essence of the Straight members, please leave your name here. Essence of the Straight Yohei, I have arrived, ...
Over 300 posts were uploaded to the public forum every day, and over half of them were about me. Not to mention, it was quite a bit exaggerated. But, well, I didn't have any complaints. I stared at my smartwatch. You gained 1 SP. You gained 2 SP. You gained 1 SP. So this was the reason that my SP was still going up. If it was ever revealed that I was rank 1, I would probably gain an astronomical amount of SP in exchange for having my life turned upside down. I don't even want to think about it. Tiring. I received another message. Captain Britain. Also, the English Royal Court Guild got close to prestigious Riri shop. If there is a potion or an equipment you want, feel free to tell me. This was actually my doing. I told Henry and Kiri to make items cheaper for Rachel. How? I heard the owner there is strict. I replied, pretending to be oblivious. Captain Britain. Well, it's a bit embarrassing to say this myself, but it looks like the English Royal Court is fairly influential with them. While other guilds were busy conquering the 4th to 5th floors, we were focusing on working in prestige. Rachel has been especially lively lately. Most likely it was because she was genuinely enjoying the Tower of Wish. Here she was free from the burden known as England and the ever-present threat of Lancaster. Captain Britain. Oh right, we bought a plot of land too, and crops started to grow on it. Reading her messages that had a completely different tone than the way she spoke, I couldn't help but laugh. Captain Britain.
Sorry, I got too excited and talked too long. I got too excited. No, it's fine with me. I could understand why she wanted to brag. On the outside, she probably had to keep her solemn image as a vice leader. You can use our messenger as a diary if you want. Diary? It's fine. We have a hunting session planned for tonight, so I have to go now. If you're having trouble with something, let me know. I'll help to the best of my ability. That was it for my conversation with Rachel. I hopped on my bed with a grin. Then, sudden quest! A quest suddenly popped up. Special quest, as in what Medea wants. Summary: Medea wishes to have your robe. Rank: low. Reward: favorable impression from Medea among others. What? Was she thinking about my robe this entire time? If a quest popped up, she must have wanted it strongly. I checked the robe's item description once again. Level 3 Masterpiece Robe crafted by a master craftsman. Elegant yet not flamboyant, imposing yet not outlandish. A masterly designed robe. Level 3 Magic Seal. Durability increase. Level 4 Outward appearance. Level 3 Scent. Magic Seal was an enchantment I made with Stigma's magic power. She really must have liked it. Since I could make another one whenever I wanted, I decided to give it to her if the opportunity arose. I turned off the system and laid on my back. Although I was tired, there was one last thing I needed to do before going to sleep. Level 3 Extraction and Permanent Materialization. Extracting Stigma's magic power with this skill. It wouldn't hurt today, right? After all, I had the Orb of Regeneration. I held the orb in my hand and used the skill on Stigma. Alright, it hurt. Now that the skill was at level 3, the pain seemed to be stronger than ever. The intense pain swept through my body like a waterfall. After struggling while foaming at the mouth, I quietly closed my eyes like someone on his deathbed. I slowly opened my eyes. The room was dark. However, there was nothing to worry about. Prestige was always like this. Without a single streetlight or a torchlight, the city was completely shrouded in darkness. However, there was a figure looking down at me from the darkness. The figure sat on the edge of my bed, looking at me with cold eyes. Was it an assassin? Or was it a mysterious being living in Prestige? I swallowed hard. Although it was sudden, there was no need to panic. I could simply take the Desert Eagle out of my inventory and... From the window, bright moonlight shone through. The white light washed away the darkness shrouding the assassin and revealed the figure's appearance. She wasn't an assassin. The person sitting at the edge of my bed was someone I was all too familiar with. "You're awake." Boss spoke, as expressionless as always. How long had she been here? I met her eyes. "Boss, what's up?" "Pasta wanted to come here." Boss shrugged. Pasta. Was she talking about Spartan? I glanced at my blanket. Spartan was indeed curled up next to me, sleeping. So he still wanted to sleep by his owner. I grinned and stroked his back. Spartan shook, matching the movement of my stroking. "Then I'll be leaving now." Wait, how was Spartan?" "He's cute," Boss muttered quietly, and got up from the bed. Seeing that she was about to leave, I held her back. "Boss, you didn't forget that we're going to the 5th floor together today, right?" Her legs stopped. She slowly looked back at me and nodded as she smiled bitterly. "Of course." "Okay." Boss left the room, and I stretched. Kung, kung, kung. I could hear Chuck Jung-Young's footsteps. It was time to train. Chirp, chirp. Looking at my blanket once again, I saw that Spartan was up and stretching. I waited for him to finish and then went downstairs together. "You're here." "Yes." I greeted Chuck Jung-Young and sat down on the floor. Sitting cross-legged, I started with a breathing exercise for awakening spirit power. This breathing exercise normally tired me out after 30 minutes, but now that I had the Orb of Regeneration, I should be able to do it a bit longer. I repeated the deep inhaling and exhaling 15 times. By the time my back and waist began to spasm, I opened my eyes. I had yet to gain any of the insight or enlightenment talked about in martial art novels. So tiring. I looked around the hideout while I rested. Spartan had run off and was nowhere to be seen. Where'd he go? "I cooked him.
He's in my stomach now. I didn't pay attention to Chuck Jung-young's dumb joke. I closed my eyes. Spartan and I could share our thoughts and vision. Now was a good time to give it a try. Soon a blurry scene rose before me. It was what Spartan was seeing. There was steam rising up. Was he near boiling water? Where is this? Is he really being cooked? I was watching in astonishment. Suddenly Spartan jumped up. I could finally get a better view. Boss was lying down, enjoying a warm bath. Spartan was in the bathroom. What? Boss, who was deep in thought, splashed water at Spartan's sudden appearance. Because of her sudden action, before I quickly cut off my visual connection with Spartan and opened my eyes. Check! I slapped my cheeks hard. What are you doing, newbie? Chuck Jung-young smirked. I couldn't say anything. What I just saw, let's wipe it from my memory. Even if I didn't mean to peek, if Boss found out, well, to be honest, I didn't see much. That is, I didn't see any of the important parts. Just seeing her skin shouldn't be a crime, right?
This was all that bastard's fault. I stood up. Hey, where are you going in the middle of training? Chuck Jung-young asked. I looked back at him. To cook a certain bird. 5th floor, materialized demon realm. After properly scolding Spartan and checking up on Riri shop, I went up to the 5th floor with the members of the chameleon troupe. The starting area of the materialized demon realm was a harsh volcanic region, which was constantly spewing out lava and black smoke. Newbie, what's your plan for the day? Jane and I are already registered to the 3rd crystal steel, Chuck Jung-young asked. The 5th floor had a total of 15 crystal steels. They served as checkpoints. After all, it didn't make sense to have to start over every time one went back. My plan was to look for NPCs like Henry and Kiri who were abandoned in the original story. I would clear hidden quests, if there were any, and find hidden items similar to dwarven steels. Although it shouldn't take too long, because the 5th floor had many strong enemies, it was a bit dangerous to go about it alone. Not to mention, there were also boss monsters that were impossible to kill alone. Let's split into 2 teams and go explore. Jane and Chuck Jung-young nodded. All right, I'll go with Chuck Jung-young. There was a quest we were doing before. Sounds good. Jane and Chuck Jung-young quickly came together. They were surprisingly very close to each other. Then I looked back. Boss was standing there, looking around the volcanic region. She seemed to find the demon realm interesting, as her eyes were full of curiosity. Boss, do you want to come with me? For some reason, I felt awkward around her. Boss looked at me for a moment before nodding. Yeah. Oh, okay. I took out the dwarven supercar. Hop in. Okay. Boss got on the dwarven supercar, then asked, Why do you keep stuttering? I wonder why. Maybe I'm having a withdrawal symptom from not smoking for a while. I could only give a poor excuse.
Chapter 185. I tightened my grip on the accelerator of the dwarven supercar. We sped through the demon realm, flames and magic power shooting up from the ground. The hot wind, mixed with ash, stung our faces, but our masks made it bearable. Wow. The demon realm, which I'd only seen in movies or read about in books, flashed by. Dark pillars of flame erupted from the earth, and monsters screamed as they chased after us. It was loud and chaotic. My companion, however, said nothing. Wearing her bear helmet, she simply watched the scenery, not even asking where we were headed. So I focused on driving. Ignoring all obstacles, we drove for about 30 minutes toward the GPS coordinate shown in the Book of Truth. Level 6, the Strange Valley of Darkness. I stopped the dwarven supercar at the entrance to the valley. We're here, boss. Many of the Tower of Wishes settings had been abandoned. The original story had changed a lot from my initial plans. It had become shallow, its uniqueness lost. I was passionate when creating the settings, but when it came to writing, I lost focus due to pressure and lack of time. This won't be fun to use. I only have half an hour until the deadline. I don't have time, so let's just skip this. This one is too difficult to describe, etc. Dozens of NPCs were discarded this way, along with more than 10 episodes. As a result, the Tower of Wish arc became incomplete and full of holes. My lazy self from the past left it that way. But now, I wanted to finish that story. That's probably what the co-author, who should be watching me from somewhere even now, wanted to see as well. "Where are we?" Boss asked, breaking my thoughts. How should I explain? I stroked my chin, thinking for a moment. Well, suddenly an excuse came to mind, the same one I always used. I read some books over at Prestige. Books? Boss widened her eyes, then for some reason smiled a little. I've been reading a lot of books recently as well. Not read novel fulls. Read novel fulls count as books too, Boss pouted. It had been a long time since I'd seen her usual self. Spartan must have helped her recover. Look, this author here is earning a lot of KP with his read novel full. She even tried to show me the novel she was sponsoring, so I stopped her. Anyway, I found this description in the book. I cleared my throat and recited to Boss what I had written in my settings book. The demon prison camp is hidden somewhere on the 4th floor. In this prison camp, human NPCs are treated as slaves to demons. Inside the canyon, there should be a husband and wife, Kedrick and Lirko. 4th floor slave NPCs, Lirko and Kedrick. 1. 2 human NPCs locked up in the Valley of Darkness. 2. Kedrick is a master blacksmith, and Lirko is a talented lancer. 3. Kedrick possesses an item called the Mysterious Pocket, and Lirko is hiding an item called Kedrick's Ghost Sword. 4. The Mysterious Pocket is a unique item that enables the user to bring something from inside the tower to the outside. 5. Kedrick's Ghost Sword is an excellent level 6 sword. 6. Kedrick and Lirko have high potential. They can grow up to level 55, equivalent to most administrators. In addition to those two, the valley also had Krakoon, the acting commander-in-chief of the demons. This valley must be that prison camp. I see. Boss looked at the valley before her. A narrow canyon lay between 2 mountains, looking dangerous. After a moment, Boss turned to me again. But what do we get from saving the NPCs? Huh? I couldn't tell her the truth. The NPCs will help us at a crucial moment. No, we have to make them help us. Not just for the Tower of Wish, but for the many obstacles and devils that would come in the future. I couldn't say that. NPCs are useful to us. Are they? Yes. Just look at my Riri shop. Henry and Kiri are both on my side now, right? I earn over 3,000 TP a day. It's almost like I'm cheating. Henry and Kiri grew rapidly. Now that the famine was over, they'd grown taller. Well, maybe not very tall, but they had certainly grown and already mastered a passive skill called the Law of Thinking. Since they wanted to learn more, I gave them a skill book called Sharp Eyes. For the record, Sharp Eyes was a rare rank basic skill. It was a decent active skill that could measure an NPC's abilities and hidden potential. However, since I couldn't learn any more skills, I left it to Kiri. Being able to indirectly use skills I couldn't learn myself was another advantage of winning over NPCs. And well, if we get rid of all the demons in there, there will probably be an additional reward. Plus, this couple is even more important. Unlike Henry and Kiri, who didn't have professions, Kedrick was a blacksmith and Lirko was a talented lancer. I even had this description written for Lirko. Lirko, when freed from her shackles, is able to overpower Kim Suha with limited abilities by force. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. So let's go, together. I looked at Boss. Boss met my gaze. Her sparkling dark eyes were always like jewels.
If you say so. Boss nodded and headed toward the valley. Together, we entered. We were only a few steps in when everything became dark. The sound of our feet on sand filled the air. True to its name, the Valley of Darkness, my vision was blocked. In exchange, my ears became sharper. Boss, where are you going? Suddenly, Boss veered to the right. I have no idea. It's too dark to see. I caught Boss's wrist before she went too far. Just follow me. I can see well. Boss nodded silently. We kept walking. For some reason, the valley was strangely quiet. Since dark ores were buried here, slaves were supposed to be working to dig them up. Eh? As I moved forward, I soon saw a dim source of light, a withered flower buried under the valley's dark soil. I checked its information. A nearly withered shamrock plant. It was a shamrock plant, a valuable herb whose bud gleamed with white light. You could chew it whole, and it was also used to make an elixir, which could resurrect even the dead. It was an herb I had to get my hands on at some point. Unfortunately, this one was almost dead. Boss, just a second. I stepped over to the shamrock plant. Sitting in front of the dry, thin plant, I took out the orb of regeneration and brought it close to the flower. The orb touched the leaves and began to glow faintly. Recovery and regeneration progressed slowly. The dried leaves gradually stood up, and the withered stems began to rise. But it was too slow. To speed it up, I poured my magic power into the orb. Woo. Suddenly, the orb glowed brightly. In an instant, a flash of light erupted, rushing through the shamrock plant. Level 4, healthy shamrock plant. The plant regained its healthy look. The white light flowing from its bud was beautiful. I put the shamrock plant in my inventory. When I stood up, Boss was looking at me with wide-open eyes. What was that?
Oh, that? That was the item Medea gave me as a reward. Reward? Kung! A loud noise suddenly rang out. What? It seems there's someone else here besides us. I felt a strange presence for a while. At her words, I quickly activated Master Sharpshooter's eyes. The 1,000-mile eyes stretched toward the direction of the noise and stopped at a spot. Standing there was a mysterious player draped in a robe. He was holding the NPC Kedrick by the neck. There was no doubt he was trying to kill him. He glanced my way as if he felt my gaze. There was an enemy. Follow me. I held the Desert Eagle in one hand and Boss's hand in the other as I ran. Boss didn't ask any questions and simply followed. Soon, we reached the spot where the player stood. This place is a prison camp. Dark Veil of the Valley of Darkness will be removed temporarily. The darkness disappeared with the system alert, and the man's figure was revealed. He was draped in a robe, but I could guess who it was. The second, or maybe the first existence that wasn't in my original story. He called himself Bell. Shoot! He stared at me and at Boss, who stood beside me. I could see his face beneath the robe. He seemed startled, but then smiled. You guys got the quest too. Quest? I frowned. I guess not. That's fine. Long time no see, huh? He said, scratching his head. Yeah, I answered, tightening my grip on the Desert Eagle. I didn't know how he got here, but this was a good chance. His existence had been bothering me. I wanted to kill him at least once today. However, the man in front of me suddenly said something strange. No, not you. Bell grinned and looked at Boss. Complex feelings were in his gaze. Hey, let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better get out of her way. At that moment, huge magic power erupted. The ground vibrated from the resonance, shaking the whole place. Only then did I look at Boss. Boss? Unlike her blazing magic power, her face was calm. It was the kind of calm that felt ominous and dangerous. But there was one thing that was clearly different. the color of her eyes. They were blood red. They were the eyes of Yasha, something I'd created in my settings. "Hello," Bell said to Boss. "Long time no see, Buell." Level 3 English Royal Court Guild Hideout. Essence of the Strait, Frost Sanctuary, Desolate Moon. Along with these 3 guilds that competed for the top rank even in real life, the English Royal Court was one of the highest-level guild hideouts in prestige. "You know me, right? We met in Tutorial Town." The events from yesterday played as a video in the lounge of the hideout. The title was Eileen and Rank 1 in a Battle of Nerves. Rachel had recorded it for members who couldn't attend the important event. The Royal Court Guild members watched the scene in stifling silence. "I don't remember. Why don't you just eat quietly?" Those words stopped Eileen's prodding. It was a voice imbued with precise magic power, causing a concentrated echo of the soul. When that voice filled the room, the guild members stiffened. They felt overpowered and overawed even though it was just a video. To think there was someone else other than the spirit speech master who could use magic power in this way, Davin said nervously. "It's a big world and there are many people with great powers," Rachel replied. "Imbuing magic power in one's words without an artifact is difficult and inefficient. Without real talent, it only increases the volume of one's voice. However, Eileen and this mysterious Rank 1 fought only with magic power in their words. This short battle was fiercer and more violent than soldiers exchanging blades 1,000 times. "You're right. Really, I feel quite inferior." "Inferior? It's not like we stood there and did nothing." Rachel smiled bitterly. The gap in strength was overwhelming. Even though we all started at the same place, those 2 had gone far ahead. That is why Rachel was convinced she was right to focus on raising the guild on the 3rd floor, rather than aiming higher. If a crow tit wanted to win against a stork, rather than stretching its legs, it had to compete in a different field. For now, let's stop watching the video. Rachel turned it off. "Land prices have gone up a lot lately, haven't they?" "Yes, the profit is already 2,500 TP. Kimball, who managed the guild's finances, answered. "The Royal Court Guild invested 4,500 TP to buy 2 buildings and 500 acres of farmland. It was all thanks to their efforts hunting undead monsters, attacking hidden dungeons in Prestige, and completing even the most mundane quests with NPCs. "By the way, Vice Leader," Davin said, worried, "if there is another residential area on the upper floors?" "Of course I thought about that," Rachel cut in lightly. "If the level of civilization in the new residential area is better than Prestige, I think all the land should belong to NPCs. We won't be able to buy anything with the money we have. However, if it's worse, that means there isn't a residential area better than Prestige, so our investment would be a success." Davin thought for a moment, then nodded. "Right. You would be perfect if you did a little less shopping." Rachel narrowed her eyes slightly. Cut back on shopping? As far as she was concerned, she was saving as much as she could and spending the extra money very cautiously. "Anyway, let's go take care of today's work." "Yes." Today, they were scheduled to hunt monsters on the 4th floor. As the undead king and his minions continuously respawned, they could obtain item drops while training and leveling up their skills. Rachel stepped outside with the Royal Court Guild members. Walking through the familiar darkness of Prestige, they headed toward the Crystal Stella. Then, suddenly, "Rachel!" Someone called Rachel's name. It was a familiar voice. Rachel looked back, tilting her head. Standing there was an old classmate, the man who was always first place at Cube, the sword saint from Creator's Sacred Grace. Kim Suhoshi! "Wow, it's so nice to see you again." Kim Suho approached with a smile. Next to him was a group of people. As always, he was the center of attention. "It's been a while." But one of Kim Suho's companions stood out. Rachel's eyes were fixed on her. I met them on the second floor. Ah, you guys all know her, right? This is Rachel, the vice leader of the English Royal Court Guild. Oblivious to Rachel's confusion, Kim Soo-ho introduced her to his group. Hi, do you remember me? I was in school with you too. Lee Young-han stuttered. Rachel, still looking at her, nodded unhesitatingly. Yes, I remember. I'm Vanessa Furman, and this is Paolo Furman. We're from the Colleon family. A woman with an Italian look, Vanessa Furman, introduced herself along with her brother. Rachel greeted them as well.
There was only one person left who hadn't introduced herself, the woman Rachel had been watching the whole time. Rachel couldn't keep her cool in front of her. It was the same for all the Royal Court Guild members. Gum. It was only natural. The woman standing before them was one of the only 70 master rank heroes in the world. A hero among heroes. A powerhouse who could kill a calamity-grade monster with a single arrow, and whose skills and character were widely respected. A hero whose title was as brilliant as her accomplishments. Jin Se-yeon, the Divine Archer. Nice to meet you, Vice Leader of the Royal Court Guild. Jin Se-yeon smiled at Rachel. I'm Jin Se-yeon. Yes, it's nice to meet you. My name is Rachel. I know. I've seen you a lot on TV. Surprisingly, Jin Se-yeon had a very straightforward personality. It was different from how she was portrayed in the media, where she seemed gentle and almost saint-like. Why don't we shake hands to celebrate our meeting? Rachel couldn't tell if she was dreaming or awake, even when Jin Se-yeon reached out her hand. She was dumbstruck. Of course, she'd heard rumors that Jin Se-yeon was looking for a ticket, but those rumors said she was looking for one, not that she already found one. Yes. Let's think about it later. Rachel forced her trembling hands to still and took Jin Se-yeon's hand.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.